Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another game night here on the Haven D&D Discord server. I am Jeb, your dungeon master, your guide for this evening, and I am joined tonight by my players, Serby, Fenris, and Tormy.
Yo. Hola.
What's up?
As you guys can see, we've got a little bit of a short crew tonight due to real life events, which always come first here on our server. So I'm pleased that we do have the three that we have, so that we can get our game in tonight. And if you guys see, there's plenty of room for new players. So please click that like button, click the link, and join and get on our server here. We would love to have you. We would love to have you join our games and tell these stories along with us. So please, we are new player friendly, new player welcome, veteran player welcome, and we'd love to see you guys here. So hit the link, join the server, and get with us about getting into the games. We've got 4 games going on Monday, one on Wednesday, one on Thursday, and one on Friday. We also have a special approved players game that goes on Tuesday nights for Patreon supporters. So we've got a different game every night of the week. So, well, every night during the week. So we got a little bit of something for everybody. We also have a very large live roleplay section. If scheduling or whatever, if playing in the games is not your cup of tea, but live roleplay is, we do have a large live roleplay section. So a little bit of something for everybody. We look forward to seeing you here on the server. So that
all you need to do is join and ask. We will help. Trust me on that.
So that said, we are going to get into our game for this evening, and we are sliding back into our second campaign that's officially started on the server. Orland Episode 4, A New Threat. And we've got our characters tonight. Fenris will be playing Raiden. Serby will be playing Zeos. And Tormy will be playing Warren, aka Silvers.
Hey, Jeb.
Yes.
Also, isn't tonight a special date for us?
Yes. This is also the 1-year anniversary of this particular game going live. We started last year on May the 4th, which is one reason why the title of the game is formatted the way it is, as Orland Episode 4, A New Threat, because May the 4th be with you. So, to recap where we have been at the last few sessions, you all took a trip down the rabbit hole into an uncharted area of Sorla's Uncle Jebulin's tower. Started off the exploration by fighting a very tough iron golem. And after a brutal battle where you all succeeded in taking down the lovingly monikered Bob, you all just found what appeared to be an underground complex, and explored the complex, finding clues, fighting a couple more gargoyles that you guys were told to run from by one of your players, but decided not to. Was able to take them down before the acidic, poisonous gas spread throughout the room. You guys made it all the way through the complex, released Sorla's uncle Jebulin and the trapped Raiden, and found some clues that may or may not have indicated that the previous owner of the tower and the owner of the complex may or may not be Alar. After a brief, heated discussion on whether or not you should continue searching or get the hell out of Dodge, you all decided to take a rest uh, in a glorious mansion spell that Jebulin had cast, and decided to explore the final chamber that you were able to explore, which led to some more clues. After you felt you had explored all that you could, you guys then decided to get the hell out of Dodge. You all were teleported back to Altessi, where you stayed the night. Jebulin began packing up his tower, and the next day you all decided to run a couple errands. You went and spoke with Alexander and King Rybran. You also, your rogue decided that he was uh, tired of his mundane swords and decided to go get a couple magical swords. And then you all met up with the jeweler of Altessi, Lana, who had put you guys in contact with a close personal friend of hers, the world famous seer, Madame Magana, who then gave you a foreboding prophecy. After the prophecy was done, Warren and Inari decided to split from the group to go stop off at the Brotherhood of the Silver Light. And the rest of you decided to grab your horses and make your journey back to your keep. And that is where we are going to pick up tonight. We are going to start with Warren at Caer Dragmont. You teleported using Inari's abilities. Stayed the night because it was later in the evening when you guys got there. And it is now the morning of the next day. Warren, what are you wanting to do?
Well, after being there for the night, the masters would know that he had arrived, and he'll go down, have a normal breakfast for the keep, and then he's going to head over to see if any of the masters are available, to inform them of what they've learned, the depth of some of the problems, and the support that they have from the king now.
Okay.
I mean, they've had support before, but like, fresh support is always welcome.
Well, knowing what every one of the Grandmaster's responsibilities are, you would make the assumption that your best bet to find one that would be available would be to head to the fairly extensive library where you will find Headmaster Sarah Plandis, the Brotherhood's keeper of lore.
He heads over to the library as would be expected. He
Master, I planned this.
He's loitered in the halls enough in his younger years, and since doing what he's done and working this case for so long, he's realized how little time he has for nonsense that is not rest or with people that are already doing a lot. Like, if it doesn't serve a purpose, let's not waste time. So he's gonna head there, open the base floor of the library and start his search there.
You walk through, looking down the aisles of shelves, and you see several of your other brothers are doing some light reading at a couple of the desks. They look up as you walk by, raise a hand, give you a hail or a couple words. Long time no see, Silvers. You know, things like that. You do not see Headmaster Plandus on the first floor.
Not to interrupt any of you, but have any of you seen any of the masters where I can have a quick word? I don't see him down here, but that doesn't mean that he's not just hiding.
One of your dragonborn brothers. You know, you've got three members of the Brotherhood that are dragonborn. One of them nods to you, points up to the second floor. I believe Headmaster Plandus is in her. Is it a her or a he?
That is a
Sarah,
question I need to go look again.
It says Sarah Plandus, so
Then that would be a she, a her.
I wanted to make sure because I
Fair.
mean there have been
Yep.
you know, known instances of men being named women's names, women being named men's names, so I wanted to double check.
Yep.
So he points up to the second floor. I believe she's in her office.
Thank you.
He
Well,
nods and returns to his studies.
it's a good one. If you've gotten to chapter 3, you'll see what I'm talking about. And he heads up.
Oh, he goes, oh, the chapter on the beholders?
Keep an eye on it.
I may have to go back and
Hunter
reread it.
Gotta love Hunter jokes.
Yep. And he leaves all of them to their studies and heads up to the office.
As you enter the office, you see it's not a large, luxurious office, but it's not tiny either. But the familiar sight of the entire floor, the entire desk, the shelves, everything, you just see stacks and piles of books. There's not a free spot on the desk. You see behind two stacks of 5 books on either side. You see the headmaster Sarah Plandus, your Eladrin scribe. She doesn't seem to notice you. She is bent over a book, has a piece of parchment and a quill, and is scribbling furiously.
I'll wait a minute or two, and then if she hasn't like pulled away to do at least flip to the next page or something, I'm gonna lightly rap on the door frame.
A couple minutes go by, you're standing there politely waiting, and this is not an altogether unfamiliar experience for you. You know that Headmaster Plandus takes her job seriously. So she has dove into whatever research she is doing. You wait a couple minutes and rap on the door frame, and you see her head shoot up. She squints at the door as if she hasn't seen the light from the outside in a while, You see her push her glasses back up her nose. Oh, Silvers. I wasn't expecting you. When did you get back?
Got back in last night. It's still on mission. Just needed to give an update. A lot's happened, and we need the entire uh, Brotherhood needs to be notified, and you're the best one to inform them all. So,
If it's something of that magnitude, maybe I should convene a council.
if you would prefer, um, I'm planning on heading back to the other keep uh, once we have finished here, so that I can go back and make sure that all of the equipment that I requested is still running perfectly. And was we left kind of in a hurry about a little over a week ago, a little under a week ago. Anyway, if you want record, I can give it now. If you want counsel, I will wait.
Why don't you go ahead and head to the council chamber and I'll grab the other headmasters.
Anything you want me to grab for the session?
Parchment, ink, and quills to jot down notes.
I have you. And he's going to give a short nod and back out of the chamber, and then head back down to the first floor where they have that little closet with ink, quills, and parchment.
While you're grabbing that, you see her scuttle out of the library to gather the other headmasters.
Mhm. He's gonna all of that under one arm. He's going to go back down to the main uh the the main hall. See if he can grab a full 5 tankards of just regular hunter's meat and bring it up to the chambers, set them for everyone, put the papers on her section.
About this time that you're putting the mugs and the papers down, the Eladrin comes back in with the other headmasters. Walking behind her, you see the half elf headmaster Velimar von Silmaril, the human headmaster Montgomery Clemens. Crouching down through the doorway is your Goliath headmaster Baltham Rastlick. And last but not least, your Dragonborn headmaster Bastis Knox.
Remember Bastix?
And he's going to
Hmm.
give more than the head nod. He's going to give a full, not a formal, but the casual bow that makes it so that they know he respects them, but is still comfortable in this space with them.
They all nod to you in turn before they take their seats. You see Baltham takes a very large drag of his ale before he sets it down. And judging by the slosh in it, you can tell he drained at least half of it in one go.
Masters.
The Velimar directs to the one of the tables that's down off of the raised platform that they are all sitting on. Please have a seat.
Yeah. Once they've all gotten to their sections, he heads over to his and waits for them to all seat before he does.
They do all sit down.
He takes his seat.
Velamar addresses you first. So, Brother Silvers, it is good to see you again. It has been a good long while.
It has.
I trust your journey has been eventful.
Very. It's the mission has not been, it has not seen its end, but it has had many branches. And though I brought back information 2 months ago, there's still more to be said, and some very important things that have happened in the last week.
Master Knox nods. Continue. Give your report.
He reaches into the bag, pulls out his journal, and starts recanting the writings from the end of each day. The visits to other places, the setup of the keep, the trip to Jebulans, the meetings with Alex and with the king, the particular dangers that they have come across, and the fact that they believe the dangers in Jebulan's tower were because of Elar.
You see Master Plandis is scribbling furiously. You stopped being surprised at how fast the woman can write a long time ago. But it still is rather an amazing sight to see as she scribbles line after line after line, keeping up almost perfectly with every sentence of yours.
And I'm sure probably also like posture.
As you finish retelling all of your notes, Master Knox speaks up. I will say it is good to hear that the king is on the road to recovery. You may be unaware of this, but I was one that assisted in the journey to finding a cure for whatever it was that ailed him.
I didn't know that you were still going on missions yourself that didn't require full teams. It's good to know that you got to have some time to shake the webs off.
He kind of chuckles at that. Are you saying I'm getting rusty, Silvers?
I'm saying too much time behind a desk leaves one's skills less sharp than they always are, but I'm not surprised that you are still sharp as ever.
He nods. Very wise words. In this particular instance, the council felt that the kingdom of Altessi needed a more seasoned hand. Plus, it's always nice having goodwill of the king of Altessi.
From personal experience, I understand and agree.
Baltham booms across the room, even though you're only sitting about 10 feet away. It almost sounds as if he's shouting. So, what are your next steps? What are your next leads? Where does the hunt take you next?
First step was here. Second step is regrouping with the rest that I've collected with. Make sure that we're all ready to take a next step, and then several of them are better investigators than I. They were my best bet at finding the best next step. I'm going to count on them, much like you taught us. If we are not the best in the group at a thing, we lean on their ability.
Velimar pipes up. Speaking of ability, how goes your own personal training, your own personal growth of your abilities?
My personal journal of control and loss thereof. Since the last time I stayed in the hall, I've only temporarily lost control for a short bit, and none that weren't already engaged to be harmed were harmed. As to that, I have been neglecting my crossbow, to engage the front more often, because most of the group that I'm with is not equipped to deal with the front as easily. So I've taken that. I have pushed on what used to be one of my weaker points instead.
Adapting to the circumstance, I see.
And should you wish, any of you, I would be happy to see a trial of my ability, but I'm not going to request it. I'm not sure how long it should be, especially if somebody in my with as much boil that is in my blood.
Headmaster Clemens speaks up next. Are you referring to your desire to take the master trials?
I do desire them, but I also know that patience is key with them. And I have grown a little more patient since my days as a whelp.
Very well. You do know what is required for these trials, do you not?
The previous masters that oversaw me did not see fit to tell me all the specifics, but I know that there are several parts to it.
Velimar, you are correct. There are 7 total tasks. You can call them contracts, if you will, that
He
you must
opens his journal to the very last page and is ready to record them.
Seeing this, he holds up a finger, wanting you to pause. All will be provided. all information you need will be provided. But there are 7 tasks that you must undertake, 7 contracts, each symbolizing one of the 7 ideals that this brotherhood believes in. And you see Headmaster Plandis scratch a final line on the note she was on, make a few notes on a separate piece of parchment, and she stands up and walks down and hands the parchment to you. Before you have an opportunity to read it, Headmaster Clemens, on that parchment, you will find the 7 tasks and the 7 symbols, the 7 ideals that each represents. If you believe that you are ready to take on the trial, you may. But
I'm
no,
gonna read
but
over
no,
it while they're talking.
but know this. It has been a long while since anyone has succeeded in the trial. We fully believe in your capability, but it does not come without its own risks. Master Knox, is there anything else you require of us, Brother Silvers?
There was one thing that I had come across that I am currently wearing, that I have had time with, and it perplexes me. And he pulls the ring and holds it up. This is incredibly ancient and seems to defy, I wouldn't say identification because there is a spell for that, but research on it has been difficult, and it has plied a bond with me, but it is silent in most ability. And as you can see, it can come off, so I doubt it to be a curse. And he places it on the desk in front of him.
Headmaster Knox, may I?
He offers both of his open hands.
He stands up, steps down off the raised platform, walks over, picks up the ring, and begins looking it over. You say it remains quiet. What do you mean?
Much like when I took on the the heavy crossbow that warns me. There is a whisper of scent between me and it after we had had time to bond. There's almost a whisper of alert when there are dangers about. As he places it on the side of the desk, it is magic, and it required a bonding. I know what it is capable of because of that bonding. I feel a similar bonding to this ring, but it has It certainly has more capable of it than what than the small boost that I've seen in my capability to shrug off being hit.
Interesting.
It feels too intense. It smells too potent to simply do as small as some of the rings that I've seen in Altesi.
He hands it back to you. I would recommend taking some time and meditating on it. Perhaps a solution will present itself where currently one is not seen.
Understand. That was the only other thing that I could think of. Everything else has been laid out in the report. And if it pleases, I'd enjoy taking a moment to read over the requirements. See if a test, a trial is within time right now.
Master Knox nods. You may wait outside while we convene.
Thank you. And he steps out, closes the doors behind him, and waits for any of them to come out while he's reading the scroll, which I see you just sent it to me.
I did. After a few minutes, the doors open back up and the headmasters all file out. A couple of them clap you on the shoulders, but Master Knox seems to linger behind the rest of them as they go down the hall. Brother Silvers. I'm afraid there's one more task that must be set upon you. And you can see he almost seems a little hesitant to give you this information. I would just like to say it was not my intention for this to be placed upon you, but it is the will of the council that you take on an 8th contract as part of your trial. To prove your devotion to the Brotherhood and your mastery over your unique situation. We must ask that you bring us the head of a fellow werewolf.
Should one present itself in a way that befits a hunter, I will bring one.
He nods.
I know of all how rare it is for us to be given a chance. If they spit in the face of the one chance they get, I will take them.
You also should know that it does typically takes a while for one to complete the trials of the master. As it was said in the council chamber, it has been a long time since a new master was promoted. I'm sure Master Plandis could give you the exact amount of time, but I know it's been at least 15 years. The last one,
Reaches into his bag. I believe I'm already on my way. Hands him the bit of iron golem that he had on him.
he accepts it, looks down, and you see he kind of smiles, but you also see a little bit of sadness in his eyes. Sadly,
This doesn't count.
this is not the heart of the Iron Golem.
Is it the box that continuously steeps poison?
You know the rules of the trial. You may seek out aid from your fellow brothers, may seek assistance from both within and without the Brotherhood. But the headmasters are forbidden from assisting you. Furthermore, it is worth mentioning you bear the responsibility of anyone who assists you in your trial.
I
The,
have
the last-
full faith in the ones that I've been working with on the mission that you put me on in the first place. I keep them safe and they watch my back. And we have fell one of these things already. So I'll continue as I have, keeping them safe so that we can continue find these things. Prove that I am at some point ready to be a master. And pretty much make sure that the mission actually is seen through and the world doesn't collapse.
He nods, puts a hand on your shoulder, and smiles. You know I have every faith that you will pass this trial. I just do hope one with your skill doesn't take as long as the last master. It only took him 7 years to complete his trial.
Let's see if I can beat that.
He chuckles. If I were allowed to bet, I'd bet on you.
Thank you.
He nods. Good luck, brother.
Good to see that you got to stretch your legs. I'm gonna be doing plenty of stretching myself. So keep guiding us wisely, like you're supposed to.
He nods and then leaves to go about his business.
And turn away and head back down. Grabbing a couple of drinks myself in a combination of, whoa, that's a lot to do, and celebration at the successful information debriefing.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to do at the Brotherhood?
Gather some more alchemical supplies so that I can continue supplying us with healing potions.
Okay.
I can grab that, and by nightfall I can head out again. I'm gonna take it easy for the rest of the day.
All
But
right.
I know that the full moon is coming up, and I should be back at the keep before that happens to make sure that the others don't have a severe freakout.
Well, and especially considering you have two other
Yes,
werewolves there.
those were the ones I was talking about.
Okay. Well, you gather some alchemical supplies. You don't take a whole lot because you don't want to be greedy and take from what the other brothers at Kara Dragmont might need. But you take a fair amount, stash it away, and you leave by nightfall and begin your journey back to Arvindor Keep.
And assuming that we are a little bit tied with the other campaign still, because time is wonky, he's going to check Inari's room first and go, she's already gone. And then
Yes, I was wondering if you were going to check with Inari. Yes,
yep,
you go up to Inari's room. Uh, you see that she is gone, but a quick glance, you do notice that she does still have a few of her things in the room. But knowing what you know of Inari, that's not entirely unsurprising.
I will gather those and bring them to our keep, where I know she'll be able to find them the next time she visits.
Fair enough. All right, you head out for Arvindor Keep. And while you are journeying there, we are going to switch back over to Raiden and Zeos. You guys have made your way back with the rest of the group and are now arriving on the outer walls of Arvindor Keep. You see two guards posted on either side of the towers of the keep on or the gate on the outer wall. You see another two guards at the portcullis. One of them holds up their hands to have you guys pause before as you guys are getting closer, and he recognizes you all from when you all hired him or hired the group in Altessi, and he nods to his partner and waves you all along. As you all ride through the portcullis, you see your stable master is brushing down one of the war horses from one of your other party members who stayed behind.
Head for the stable to drop off our horses.
All
Do I catch
right.
sight? Do I catch sight of Dario?
Go ahead and make a perception check real quick.
Fuck, that's fantastic. 28.
You don't see him anywhere inside the outer ring. You are able to see through the portcullis into the inner courtyard, and you don't see him there either. You all ride up to the stables, where your stable master Aerolith hails you. Welcome back, my lords, my ladies.
See that these horses are taken care of.
He nods. 'Twould be my honor.
And as he gets down, Raiden immediately just splits from everybody else. He's got shit on his mind he's going to take care of.
All right. What are you doing, Zeus?
Um, I actually want to meet up with one of my contacts in town.
Okay. You don't give your horse over to Aerolith. You decide after the group turns their horses over and begins heading
I
back.
do turn it over.
Okay,
I'm
you're not gonna
walk into
ride.
town.
You're gonna walk into town.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, as you are journeying into town, the rest of the party is heading into the keep to get their stuff situated back in their rooms. And we are going to follow Raiden's beeline to wherever it is you are going.
He is going into the inner wall and looking for anybody present, or Dario if he comes across him first.
All right. You see your young ground keep, Austin, is working on one of the buildings. There appears to have been part of the shingles on the roof have come off, and he's up on the roof trying to reaffix them. But it's very clear that he doesn't quite know what he's doing.
Y'all
You see
just
For
him.
head
fear
with
of
the flow.
scaring him and making him fall off the roof, I'm going to just ignore that and keep going. And look for the next available person.
Just one moment.
Y'all just had to make me get the whelp.
I didn't make you get anything. I wasn't here.
Okay. All right. You, for fear of scaring your already skittish ground keep, you continue on into the through the second portcullis across the river and into the inner ring. You don't see anybody other than a couple guards stationed at the portcullis.
Seems to be rather dead. Okay. You two, have either of you seen Dario?
The one nods. He's up in the keep, my lord.
Thank you. And off to the keep he goes.
All right, you go up the stone steps and walk through the door and are now inside of your keep.
After stepping through, he looks around, takes a gauge of his surroundings, and then moves in a bit further, seeing if His target is present.
Okay. So you don't see him inside of the entry hall, but as you move through the hall into the den, you do see one of the chamberlains is in the den cleaning, but you do also hear Dario in another room. It appears that he's giving instructions to one of the other chamberlains uh, about the meal and how to prepare it and when to prepare it.
He's going to approach the room. Is the door open or closed?
The door's open.
He's going to stand at the doorway, let them finish before he makes himself known.
Dario notices Raiden standing at the door, finishes giving his instructions, and turns on his heels, claps his hands together. Ah, Lord Raiden, what a pleasant surprise. I wasn't expecting you to be back so soon. Shall I prepare a brief small meal for you to small meal and small drink for you to wash the road off of you?
A wonderful idea. I need a couple things actually. Uh, have the meal prepared and have my portion brought to my office. I've got some things to go over and take care of. And then, if you happen to see Warren come back, um, in the next day or so, have him find me. I have something that I need his assistance with. But for the most part, if I am needed, I will be in my office.
He nods to you very well. He looks to Kendra, who he was given the instructions to, lifts his head up a little bit, and you see her scurry into the kitchen. I shall have your food brought to you in your study, sir.
Appreciated. And the others are back as well, so have something for them prepared.
It will be done.
And I
Is there
must say,
anything?
wonderful job so far. And he turns and heads to his study. Without waiting for a reply or anything, he turns and heads to his study.
Okay. You enter into your study, and you notice that per your instructions, it doesn't appear that anybody has been in there. The
Sure.
candles had burned all the way down and are a pile of hard wax in the catcher. The curtains are drawn on the windows, and it's got a very dark, uh, foreboding look to it.
Perfect. So, as he enters the study, he's going to close the door. Um, not latch it right away. Um, and he's going to walk over to one of the desks against the wall that he's got papers spread out on. And he's going to pull out his books that he's carried with him throughout this journey and lay them out open. And in one of his journals, he's missing one because Sorla still has it. But in one of his other journals, which is basically his ideas journal, there are a few small designs and diagrams that he has put together in his time of boredom locked in that little room with Jebulin before he went and started studying the journals that he found there. He's going to take note of the candles being burned out, walk over, remove the old wax from them, open a drawer in one of the other desks, pull out some fresh candles and set them up, and then go over to the one clean desk in this entire room. The top of it is completely bare, and he pulls out several things from his bag. One is his hand crossbow. The other is the hide barding that he had found in Illyrium. A series of several daggers, And then he is going to reach into one of the bottom drawers that's deeper than some of the others and open it up and pull out this little stand. Just a metal wire stand, and set it on the table towards the back corner. And as he's doing that, he is going to pull out a sack from his bag of holding. Wrapped and handled very carefully, he sets this sack inside the holding rack that he had just put on the table. And I do believe, Jeb, you know what I'm talking about with this. This is the one thing that he gathered while everybody else was asleep.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So he sets that up on the back side of the table. And he's going to take let me see here if I can taking out a small dish. He is going to set up a candle and set up this small little metal dish above the candle, and just use some of his basic materials and stuff just to make a little like holder, so that the little metal dish sits above the candle and heats it.
Okay.
And he's going to sit down at this desk and start working on taking apart the daggers. And while he's doing that, he is going to take several pieces of silver and drop them in that metal dish so that they melt. And I know that's going to take up time, but there's a process to this. So the goal is here, one of his ideas in his book was to make basically, are you guys familiar with Assassin's Creed?
Yes.
Okay, so I want to make like an arm blade, but it's not underneath. It's not necessarily concealed. It's on the upside. And the back is going to have a spot that will allow for small vials of poisons to be added, and like single-use cartridges that they can be injected as a attack is made with the dagger blade. And he's doing this by using the daggers, components from the crossbow, the hide barding, and the material he stripped off of the golem. And
Okay.
basically making a small mechanism that will allow the dagger to come forward, lock into place, and a small vial of poison to be added so that it trails down the tip of the dagger and makes contact with whatever he sticks with it.
Okay. So I want you to make me 3 tinker checks and go ahead
Okay.
and send those to me in a DM.
Okay. And what stat am I including with the D20 roll and the proficiency?
It would be dexterity.
Okay. And I will send them to you in DMs. Let me get to you because I'm on Mr. Beats at the moment. 14.
And while you are tinkering away, our focus shifts to Mr. Sticky Fingers himself, who, after a short, rather enjoyable stroll back down the forested lane to the city, You now find yourself walking up into the main causeway, the main street of the city.
Real quick, before that, over the table, I need y'all to remind me what all I was going to my spy network about because I don't remember everything from the last game.
I don't remember what you were wanting to go to your spy network about. I just remember you saying, "Oh, I need to get a message to them." I just forgot and just realized that I have that as part of my background.
Yeah. Um, I know it had to do with Tormy, you're muted.
I think he's chewing.
I think it was something that Raiden had brought up that you wanted to offer the spy network for. I don't recall what.
Well, it was technically after the meeting, and then after the seer, and the vision we had experienced together.
The prophecy.
Yeah. So if you, Serby, if you look in-game notes where Jeb has posted what we got out of the prophecy, and just, I guess, develop your own questions out of what is there, as well as any kind of insight as to normal unseen movements from those within the shadows. Because we know that there is a spy network working in one direction, and your guys usually, from what you've mentioned, have you usually work behind the ow, I bit my tongue again. Fuck. Your guys are more, like back alley dealings, the shadier type of stuff.
No, not fully. Let me go back to it real quick. Hang on.
If Fish had uploaded the video, because he kind of forgot what day it was, if he had uploaded the video, we could have gone back and checked the video and just zoomed or fast forwarded to that part in the video to see what you said last week.
Yeah. I mean, I was basically looking for further information into all of the questions that we all had coming out because there was so much information given to us that just caused even more questions. And I
We get
it doesn't say that my spy network is all back alley dealing kind of stuff.
no, I know it
But I
doesn't
need
say
to
that.
know like the shady people who can get messages to my spy network to get information back.
Right, and what we were discussing last time is that we have a major spy network working with Rybrand and the two parties that was established towards the beginning. And your spy network, since you just remembered it, would be more of a rather than,
Like a criminal spy network.
yeah, because you guys are, that's the kind of people that a thief would deal with.
Yeah.
So your guys would know more of like what's going on behind the scenes rather than what people are, talking about and seeing out front. So
Trying
you
to
might have a
information and or where to find the information
Mhm.
or items or
one of the
people.
main thing one of the main things that sticks out to me would be if anybody within your spy network has heard or spotted any movements that are really out of the ordinary within the, the shadow net within the backgrounds, things that might throw up alarms given the current information we have. More things being moved to certain locations that are not necessarily a normal ask type thing. because
Well,
if
I know I
shit's gonna.
got the letter off at the end of last game
Mm-hmm.
for all of that. But all right, so I will head down into town and uh, go to one of the bars that I know that I can meet a contact at.
Okay. So one of the bars, is down by the docks. They deal with a lot of the sailors that are coming in and out of the ports. Um, it's not the most frequented of the bars by the docks, which suits your needs rather perfectly, as your contacts typically don't want to be in a very busy bar for fear of being overheard.
Hmm.
So you enter into the bar and you see the familiar face of one of your contacts sitting over in the corner.
Uh, I will head on over and just have a seat at the table.
Okay, give me just 1 second here. Okay. You walk up and you sit at the table across from your contact. And across from you, you see the familiar figure of a halfling who is he's got his hood up over him, but you see the light blonde hair underneath the hood and the bright blue eyes of Maros Fernblade. He picks his mug up to you, kind of holds it up in a half salute before he takes a swig. Was wondering when I'd be seeing you again.
Yeah, we just got back. Um, any word from our friends in Shadowcroft?
One sec. Okay, over the table. What are you referring to by Shadowcroft?
Zatara.
Say that again.
Zatara.
Zatara.
Do you remember Zayas's one thing he wants to be in his life?
Yes.
And the quest he
Oh,
decided amongst himself.
okay. All right. So you're asking about, have they gotten any information about the um
Zatara or the Eyes.
yes.
I know that she was last seen in Shadowcroft a year ago, a little over a year ago.
If you're going based off of the books and the notes and everything that I posted in the in-game notes, those were books that were found in Illyria.
Oh.
So at the time that they were
that
put
was
there, she
like-
had been seen. Yeah.
Okay. But that's the last thing I have to work on for her.
Gotcha.
I mean,
So-
anything from the network on Zatara's last movements and if she's even still alive.
Gotcha. Okay. So now that we are on the same page here, he kind of looks up to you. Will, you see, finding information on a lost civilization, it appears that it's kind of difficult. None of my contacts have been able to even find a book that mentions Shadowcroft. I trust the information that you have given me. You've never given me any reason not to trust you except for the fact that you're a
We're
cunning
the
piece of
same-
shit. And he literally says, except for the fact that you're a cunning piece of shit. And you see him chuckle and take a swig of his ale at that. Zatara, on the other hand, that's a name that has been a little more used than Shadowcroft. But all I've been able to get is that she was a world-renowned seer, that she was a Kalishtar, and that she supposedly died about 600 years ago.
Okay, so she's no longer living. What about family? Did she have family?
That is unclear.
And nothing on the eyes? Other than the myths and
Just exactly what you're talking, or what you are bringing up. Just myths. There's so many people that claim that they've heard of the eyes, but have never seen them. There's a lot of people that don't even believe they exist. It's almost like that myth from Shadows Bay of the overlord who had the goose that could lay golden eggs.
oh, I thought you were talking about the one about the bugbear running across the island, killing everything.
He kind of cocks his head a little bit. I hadn't heard that one. Do tell.
Supposedly someone let loose a bugbear and it just started killing everything in its path, running back and forth across the island.
Interesting. How long ago did you hear that?
Oh. It has been a while. Month or so, maybe a few months. Sometimes days just blur together.
I'm gonna have a word with Sammy. I think he's withholding information from me again.
Really? Haven't we had a conversation about Sammy already?
Well, yeah. And he pulls out pulls out a little bag out of his pocket, and he pulls out a couple clean white bones. You remember his ring finger that I took?
If you don't take a hand this time, it's just gonna happen again.
See, I may. I don't want to take a hand because he's kind of useless to us without a hand.
Make his dick.
Maybe an ear.
Mm.
Maybe half his nose. Who knows? We'll see. I'll have to interrogate him the next time he makes port.
Any other information that you might find useful?
Well, now that you mention it, the Blood Watch does appear to have relocated from Alinar to Ultax. Word is they took over one of the previous lord's manors there, and they're holed up fairly well, living off the people like normal.
Fucking bloodsuckers. All right, well, that can't be good. See what else you can find out about that. Why they moved. To see if you can find out why, other than new grounds.
I think I can do that. It may take me a while as there's no communication in and out of that area right now. So it may take a little more of a personal touch.
Send someone in.
You think I'm going in there myself?
No,
Have you
that's why
have you gone soft in the head?
he pulls out a pouch and slides it across the table and says, "Just hire someone to take care of it."
The bag disappears almost as soon as your fingers release from it.
And we'll say there was 1,000 gold.
Okay. I'll get word to you once I've got some information for you.
Anything else?
The only other things are kind of boring. Word on
Any
the
new special items come up recently?
sadly no. With things in Altessi getting back to normal, the pipeline there has kind of dried up. Of course, Alinar is being rebuilt, so there's not a whole lot of interesting items to find there.
Yeah.
I don't really want to go into Shadows Bay for obvious reasons.
Well, now you know there's a bugbear killing people over there, so I would hope you wouldn't want to go.
Well,
Unless
then
you're
there's that.
trying to fight a bugbear.
Then there's that.
Wait, what else is going on in Shadows Bay?
He kind of looks at you a little cockeyed. That's not our turf. You know whose turf that is.
I got you. Well, you know how to get word to me.
He nods.
And he gets up and walks out.
He goes back to drinking his ale.
Now for the fun part.
I figured this was coming.
Why do you think he didn't? He walked into town. We all know. So, um, I forget where the forest ends and where the keep grounds begin.
So, if you look at the map in the in-game notes, the forest does run almost right up to where the river is that the keep is built on and around. The lane itself is fairly cleared and it's fairly wide. The forest is not super thick right around where the keep is, but it is there is a decent amount of coverage up to the river.
I'm coming in from the northwest.
Okay, so the city is to almost directly to the south.
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna sidetrack through the forest to come up to where the river is at, is what you're saying.
Yep.
Okay.
And let's get sneaky.
All right. So are you going up to the edge of the tree line before you
Yeah.
go try to go stealth? Okay. Okay. Go ahead and roll me your stealth check.
28.
All right. And roll me a perception check.
21.
Okay. You see at the top of the tower on the west side of the inner ring, you see two guards, one looking out over where the river runs to the west, and another one who is looking back in to the courtyard. A little bit farther to the south along the wall, you see another pair of guards who are patrolling the top of the wall. And then down towards the southwest part of the outer ring, you see another pair of guards who are almost patrolling the tower, the walls almost to the tower where the southern drawbridge is.
All right. Let's do this. I go invisible.
Okay.
And I am going over the wall. The
At what point?
I was just looking right here. Where the inner wall meets the keep wall, that little corner there.
Where it crosses over the little not really a stream, but the smaller fork of the river.
Yeah.
Okay. And are you climbing up next to where the tower is at, or on the wall where the keep wall meets?
Keep wall meet corner right there.
Okay. Go ahead and make me three three athletics checks.
18, 18, and 16.
Okay. You find several handholds and footholds in the mortar stone walls. About halfway up, you reach up and almost feel your hand begin to slip, but you pull your hand back down, wipe it off on your tunic, and bring it back up and find your grip firm. You make it all the way to the top of the wall, and where the murder, not the murder hole, the wow,
Ventilation.
the where the cutout where the archers would be shooting through. I'm drawing a blank on the term.
Crenellation.
Crenellation. Okay. Where one of those are at, you climb up through it and you land softly on the balls of your feet at the top of the wall, near where the keep is at. Make a perception check, please.
Mhm. 26.
Okay. To the southeast of you is a pair of guards on the tower overseeing the drawbridge to the keep itself. And up to the northwest of you, around the corner of the wall, is another pair of guards that are patrolling. And they are walking in your direction.
Are there stairs nearby going down into the courtyard?
There are stairs through the tower on the drawbridge, and that the two guards that I just mentioned are stationed at, as well as the tower to the southwest of you, where the other two guards are stationed.
I am going to walk in. Since I'm invisible, I'm just going to straight walk in and go down the stairs. And as soon as I hit the courtyard, I'm going to drop invisibility and walk toward the keep.
One of the guards from on top of the tower of the drawbridge sees you in the center of the courtyard, and he hollers out, all of a sudden seeing somebody appear in the middle of the courtyard. And the two guards that are on the ground at the base of the drawbridge whip around, and they see you and draw their swords and come charging. As you are standing there and they come charging up at you, one of them does recognize you. He slows to a halt, hollers at his companion to stop, and says, "It's Lord Zeos. Sheathe your sword." He looks a little confused, but begrudgingly sheathes his sword. How did he get by us? There's no way we wouldn't have seen him get by us.
I came over the wall right there.
He looks up to where you point, then looks up at the guards at the top of the tower. "What the fuck are you guys looking at? He says he came over the wall right there."
I'm surprised they didn't see the wet spot on the tile on the walkway out there. I came through the river. They should have noticed it.
Yeah, over the table, he rolled a 5 on his perception check. So he looks back to you and says, "This is going to be reported to the LT for sure."
Oh, I'm sure I'll have words with him as well. But good for y'all catching me and stopping me like you were supposed to. And then he just turns and walks into the keep.
All right. Is there anything inside the keep that you are wanting to do?
Not right now.
Okay.
I
You
well, I
enter.
go to his room and start looking through the reports from when we were gone. That's what he'll do.
Okay. As you enter into your room and begin to get comfortable, we are going to pause and time shift forward a few days. And Warren, you are now arriving home at the keep. You do not have your horse with you as you teleported from Altessi. You find that your horse was brought with the rest of the group and is stabled. You made the journey on foot and are walking into the keep.
Tormy, you're muted.
Thank you. Right through the front so that they can see who it is. Both my pack and the pack that I had to build for Inari stuff slung over his shoulder and just kind of walking in slow, knowing that he needs to be stopped at some point before he goes in.
The guards recognize you and just wave you on through.
And he doesn't hit any of the other places. He just heads straight into the main building.
Okay. And where are you going in the main building?
First, dropping the bag that I don't need, Inari's bag in one of the guest chambers. The one that we all pretty much decided was going to be hers. The one that probably has a couple of things of booze just to keep her entertained. Then go, unless anybody stops me, he's going to go down to his lab and start emptying ingredients and pulling stuff off of the burner and getting into the final steps of last week's production of healing potions and just start storing things.
Okay. As you are walking down the hall, you almost run into Dario, who was coming out of one of the chambers with a tray in his hand. Oh, Master Warren, so glad that you are back.
Good to see you.
I trust your journey went well.
Fruitful. Things everything's been reported and everything is moving forward if everybody is returned already and started resting.
He nods. I assure you that they are doing their best to rest up. From what I gather, it was a very eventful couple days for you.
I'd say the same. Finally got done shaking rocks out of my ears, but yeah.
He kind of chuckles at that a little bit, having gotten a brief synopsis of what happened from one of the others. By the way, Master Raiden wished me to inform you that he is waiting for you in his study as soon as you are able.
I'll catch him up in a minute. I'm gonna drop some things off, take some things off some banners, and then I'll come see him.
Very well. Can I get you anything to drink or anything to eat?
If you could have a tray brought up, doesn't really matter what. I've been on the road a couple days, so whatever surprise from the kitchen, uh, bring it up to his study and tell him that it's for me.
He nods. It'll be
Fine.
done.
Thank you. And he disengages, lets him be on his way, and he takes to the stairs down to the lab. Does as intended, takes things off burners, takes things out of the bag and puts them in storage for when he starts the next part of the process for the new batch, and just
What?
like starts corking all of the healing potions that have been burnt on the burners since they left.
And
What's Sorry, go ahead.
how um, how long has it been that those have been on the burners?
5 days since it
5 days.
was 1 day out, teleport, 1 day there, teleport, 1 day there, teleport, and then a day and a half of travel. So yeah, 6 days.
6 days. Okay. So you pull off 6 potions of healing.
Okay.
What's Warren's passive perception?
Passive,
Insane.
it's just a 27.
Okay. As you're doing that, you'll notice that one of your non-used burners are gone.
Well, I've got 3 suspicions, and my next step is checking on one of them anyway. So don't get angry. Don't get angry. And
You wouldn't
once everything's
you wouldn't like me when I'm hungry.
I'm going to assume that the tray ends up making its way up just before I do. As I finish bottling everything, put them into my bag, and then put all of the ingredients back away so that later in the day I can start the process again.
Okay. As you walk up to the study, you knock on the door.
Who is it?
It's your best friend, you fuck.
It's open.
He opens it.
As you walk in, you see Raiden appears to be putting the finishing touches on a contraption that he's been tinkering with over the last couple days. You see he's got the straps around his arm, and he's putting the finishing touches on a section where it appears that he's putting a small glass vial into, testing to see if it actually works or not.
One of the other things is that you will see as you walk in is you'll notice the table with all the papers, and then on the wall is a giant map of Orland with various threads to different places and notes tacked to the map and off to the side on the wall, and some have fallen off and on the ground, but he's been too absorbed into what he's currently doing. And off to the side on the table that he's working at, you'll see your little burner there with a little bowl with what looks to be, and you are very familiar with this, it is melted silver. And there is what looks to be the a pile of different things next to it that he has intentions on.
Raiden, check your DMs real quick.
Okay.
There's going to be a raised eyebrow, and then he is going to just kind of. I'm going to insight you before I end up asking questions. 17. Looking from the silver and the layout. We are still friends, right?
You haven't done anything to make me consider you otherwise. The silver and my plans for it are precaution against others who aren't as well trained as you. But
Understood.
also, there's no telling what we'll be coming up against, and having something silvered might come in handy from time to time. But how was your trip? How was your trip?
Well, everything's been reported, and rapport's better than I was expecting. And well, call me prideful, but I'm happy that I'm finally starting my trials only a few months after making brother.
Ah, well, congratulations. As you can probably see, I've been quite busy. Sorry about the burner, by the way. My candle didn't last long enough to get the silver melted as much as I wanted, so I borrowed one that wasn't being used down in the lab. Um, I will return it once finished. But maybe you can help me with this process. Anyway, off track for a bit. I've been studying and developing something interesting with something that I found back in the tower. And why don't you come a bit closer? I think you'll find this interesting as well.
He walks on over.
Um, oh, mind the stack of books there. And he'll point to the metal holder on the back side of the table. And being held by this, you will see a container. A somewhat familiar container if you had happened to look inside the iron golem after it was defeated. With a solution inside.
I remember warning against grabbing that.
Well, interestingly enough, I watched you all take it down, and after you all went to bed, I got to looking at it a little bit closer and was able to determine a safe way to remove it without losing its contents. So I got it out and figured it'd be useful. And that spurred a bit of further inspiration for this little design as he holds up his arm and there is the. Has he completed it, Jeb?
He has. He was just fitting the small glass vial into the socket. Hadn't tested that part out yet, but he was able to attach the harness, test out the harness and the release mechanism, spring-loaded release mechanism that allows the blade to protrude and retract.
Perfect. So what he's going to do is after he fits the vial and sees that it fits, he's going to pull out his water skin, pour a little bit of water in it, slip it in, and he hits the mechanism and the blade shoots out and it starts to drip the water from the vial off down the groove of the blade and out the tip. Not used for water, but it's an effective delivery system for poisons. And if we can keep it in a liquefied state, perhaps a quick dose of silver or other harmful chemicals to other creatures. Just depends on what you load vials with.
If you know how to make holy water,
I personally don't. Not
would
one
be
so much as far as the
could be certainly very useful against most of the undead.
that is a decent idea. I'm not one of the clerical backgrounds and beliefs, but
Well,
perhaps we can find someone to do some blessing.
But you do
there's
believe in a patron now, so there is that.
there are two main
Patron who's been
methods that
quiet
I'm
for the past.
there are two main methods that I can think of that are to make holy water. One is faith, which is tried and true, and the other is alchemical, which is where I usually go. Uh, it sounds absolutely stupid, but the first step is boiling the hell out of it.
He does kind of chuckle at that. Well, that would probably be one of the things that I will leave in your hands. Now that I know that I can get this to work, I can potentially make a couple others if I have the material. I was able to
So,
make this one out of a couple daggers, a hand crossbow, and bits of that hide barding that I had picked up in Illyrium.
I would like to add that this is
And
very much a prototype that you have made. Uh, very crude in its build. It doesn't look the prettiest. It literally almost looks like you've got two belts on your forearm with a spring-loaded contraption down near where the wrist is at. So very much a prototype, but a working prototype.
so two things. One, are we relegating your office to be a workshop of sorts for oddities and the like, and leaving my space the lab?
I mean, as long as the foot traffic in here is very limited, um, I don't
I
see
mean,
an issue with that. I've just been using the space to tinker when ideas pop into my head.
fair.
um,
But
but I do
the second
believe.
thing, if you just stretch enough lever over the entire contraption, if you don't need any access up top, it looked like just a super bulky bracer.
Well, you see, that is possible, but we'd have to leave an access port for the vials to be deposited and removed as they are used. But the I'm working on having various ones available, and the more that I have access to, the more variety that it can be used for. Um, but
Mhm.
I do. It isn't the prettiest, and I was just
You've
seeing.
you've never met one of my masters. Uh, he is a little bit lonely when it comes to alchemical things, and he has an entire one of his braces and part of his armor is just filled with little loops that have jars and vials everywhere. He's memorized where everything is, but you could probably do something similar. Put a full sleeve of your shots to be just pulled from the one side of your arm and put into the other.
That's a decent idea. He grabs the note. He reaches over and grabs the notebook off the other table, knocking a couple papers onto the floor, puts it in front of him, and just starts fucking adding detail to the rough crew drawing that he went off of, and making notes where it can be improved on, and things that could be added, like the vial slots on the underside and a covering to make it look less like a crude contraption and more like a standard bracer with at least an access port, and ways that after building the prototype, ways that he can improve on the prototype and make it a better thing.
For shits and giggles,
Mhm.
make a performance check for me real quick.
Performance check? Oh shit, Jeb.
A weird feeling I'm about to be shot in the chest.
I don't know. I got lucky on that one. It's a 19.
Okay. The very quick sketch that you made in your excitement and haste is not the prettiest looking drawing of what you had in mind based off of Warren's description, but it serves its purpose. It gets the point across, and you're able to easily tell what it is. Somebody else who's looking at it might have to have it explained to them, but it's one of those it's good enough for who it's for kind of things.
All right. He hits the contraption again, which retracts the blade. He'll pop the vial out, set the vial up off to the side with a couple other just 2 or 3 other empty ones that are up there, and he undoes the belts and sets the prototype down. So, that's the poison sac thing from the golem. I figured the poison inside could be useful. Do you happen to know, or whatever, maybe that in particular,
What the type
given
of
your
poison?
studies?
The type of poison it.
Not the Not necessarily the type of poison, but that could be useful knowledge. More so the contraption itself.
What would you like me to roll?
A history check, please.
It is a good thing that I have advantage on this for this very type of thing, because the first one was a 2. That is a 19 for 23.
Yeah, I would say that Warren would remember from some of the diagrams in the library of the Brotherhood that would describe how it works. That's one reason why he was very cautious after you had fought it and defeated it and warned the others to not remove it, because he knows that the slightest wrong tinker could set it off. But Warren would know the ins and outs of the workings of it.
And with that, would I also be able to remember where the heart of an iron golem is?
You would, and you would remember that the insides of the iron golem was completely empty. The creature was purely magically ran, with the exception of one part, this container.
And it wouldn't be this container that would be considered the heart for this, or was that so uniquely bound that it didn't need all of its parts.
This
Say the
container
heart.
would be considered the heart of the golem.
I need to, at some point, borrow this for proof of one of my 8 trials. I just need to present it
Well,
to my brotherhood. But
that's perfectly doable.
it's
Um,
That would be the first time that Warren has mentioned to Raiden anything about trials.
he does have a curious look on his face. You mentioned you did already mention one of your masters is very alchemically crazy, so to speak. Is it frowned upon to have others visit?
it's an oddity. More people don't come visit partially because it's the monster hunters. They deal with the dark and they leave them be, let them have their peace. But it's also partially like you are given hospitality, but that doesn't give you the run of the place. So most people don't want to get involved because they're not allowed in certain places. But I mean, for
But
the God's sake, I had a Nari there 2 days ago.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to at least seeing the place. Um, maybe something that can be gleaned and learned, if nothing else. But you mentioned you needing to present this for your trials. Um, would that
It's
be what
um,
you were talking about beforehand? The something about the master thing?
so I spoke with all of the headmasters yesterday, day and a half ago, and informed them of everything that we have gone through on this trip. Even showed them the ring and all of the other things. In also the prophecy, just in case they could decipher the possibilities there. But most people that join everybody that joins the Brotherhood starts out a whelp, and if they take the training and do all the duties and all of that, they become a brother or a sister. And many, if not most, stay there for a very long time, if not until they find their very bloody end. But many are put to tests, to trials, see what they can do to actually be able to see fit to be able to take on entire missions or the like without having them given to us by one of the other masters. I got the go ahead and the list just when I finished that meeting. And well, it happens we have one of the 7, check that 8, that are on my list. We took down an iron golem together. And one of the parts of the charge of me taking credit for any of these is that I make absolutely sure that everyone that helps me is seen to, is safe.
Well, I mean, You do that already for most of us.
Aye.
You, you watch our backs, we watch your backs. It's kind of a give and take scenario. I. That's a rather big thing for you then. I guess a bit of congratulations are in order. Um, but no, I don't mind at all. Whenever you need to take it to present it, just be careful with it. It is very
I know not to bump it too hard. Most likely, what would end up happening is I would put it in a bag of holding, and then I would shift all the way and just show up at my other doorstep as a wolf with a back. Traveling the distance
would make the journey
at
quicker.
speed. Aye, that's the the thought.
Which is how I assumed you traveled from Caer Dragmont to our Vendor
Yes,
Keep this time. So
yes. It was like, oh, I'm half a mile out. I'm gonna shift back, put on all of my clothes, and walk in. Because it is not a good look to show up as a wolf at the front gate of a place that has 40 plus soldiers.
um, well, that shouldn't be a problem at all. Uh, I've just taken a few samples from this to see if I can decipher what it is, and
I
its potency.
think I've heard of 3 devices being made out of that compound. One are just smoke bombs that fill a small area. There is concentrating it down, distilling it, and making it into darts. And the third was being able to give somebody, well, distilling it down to a different degree, adding a couple of other things into it, and making it into a antivenom that cancels most poisons. Not all of them, not all of them, but many.
Hmm. The second option there sounds perfectly viable for what I'm looking to do with this contraption. Perhaps that is something that we can work on um, down in the lab and test that theory on alchemical holy water.
We
Um,
can do a few different things at once. One of the things that I dropped off down there was a bunch of more reagents for making more health potions, since we are ridiculously understocked on those for the line of work that we all have together.
I mean, some more than others. I still have a handful or so in my possession, but it doesn't do anybody any good when I'm locked behind a door.
I
So,
I think it would be nice if we could leave the keep with everybody having like 10.
I can understand that.
It's just going to take time.
Would
And
you
well,
mind?
we're in this stage where we need to sit, ready ourselves, and think what the next step is. So this
Well,
is all preparation anyway.
the logical next step is going to be the meeting with the other group. Word has been, I'm sure, has been sent by now by Alex to get in touch with them, and hopefully that meeting happens sooner rather than later, just in case certain individuals decide to make themselves make their agendas progress further than they already have.
Be right
But
back. Sorry.
okay, you're good. um, in the instance while he stepped away, Raiden is going to take the prototype and fold it up, the bands and stuff underneath it, and just set it off to the side. for a moment. And how much of the scrap, or I say scrap, how much of the barding and the iron from the golem was used?
With all of your tests and having to do some recuts and revisions and everything, pretty much all of the barding and scrap that you had was used up to make the prototype.
Okay.
But now that you have a prototype made and you know what mistakes to make, what mistakes to avoid, and everything, you shouldn't have to use up quite as much material to make another one in the future.
Okay. So, you back
Thank
for
you
me?
for holding on.
Yep, you're good.
Cat plus
Um,
pot of water plus needing to clean up water.
You're good. So I'm just going to really quickly remove the material, the barding, and my hand crossbow from my inventory really quickly. Because I still have one barding, which is actually currently attached to my horse. After he sets the prototype off to the side, makes a few quick hand notes on the materials that he will need to recreate the prototype in a more solid fashion, knowing what not to do and what to do at this point. He'll close that up and slip that back in his cloak so he can procure those materials at some point. And then he looks over to Warren. There is something else that I'd like your help with, if you do not mind. Some of the stuff that I've got working on over here. Do you happen to have the stuff needed down in the lab to put that coating on a few items?
Mm. Actually, I think I'm not. As he digs into the bag and um, pulls out oxidizing sulfate. We can do that here right now.
Okay. Um, there are a couple of things that I was looking to add that
You you need to shine those so that no oil is on them first. Make sure that they are as clean as they possibly can be, so this can bond them. That's it. Then we heat it after it's applied. Let it dry.
that can be done. Um, Jeb, really quickly, how many of the daggers that he has did he burn through for the prototype?
The daggers really only took one of them
Okay.
because all you had to do was find a way to grind out the groove in the fuller of the blade.
Okay.
So yeah, only one on the dagger.
Okay, that leaves quite a bit left. Awesome. Um, so the goal here next is to take the silver that has been melted down and add a silvered coating to at least two of his daggers. And the bowstring off the crossbow. And whatever, if there's anything that Tormy wants silvered.
So the amount of silver that you had melted would coat pretty much the almost um all of the daggers with a little bit left over. But I would like to point out that silvering the string on the crossbow. Uh, is it a working crossbow?
No,
Or
it's
is it
the
the
string that I
crossbow that you
pulled off
just?
the hand. Yes, it's the crossbow that I dismantled.
Okay. I'm having really bad premonitions on where you're wanting to go with that. So, um,
Well, the idea is either, add
Shadow
it
Bay
to a different.
necktie.
Yeah, or add it to a different crossbow to.
I see him walking up behind somebody, whipping the string around over their head and just choking them with a silvered string.
I mean, is there a better way to stop a rampaging werewolf?
So
But I am what I've done so far in my thing, because I figured with the pot that he had, or with the burner that he had went and got, he also got a bigger bowl to do this in, because the candle was not doing it fast enough or efficient enough. So do you think 200 silver pieces would be enough to do this?
how much more are you wanting to do apart from the 2 daggers and the string?
Um, the goal is to do the 2 daggers, 2 of the main daggers that he uses, the string and the blade on the prototype, which he will be reusing that blade for the more advanced version when he gets to making it. Or that's a process, but that's a process that can be done later on. So it's right now it's the 2 daggers, the string, and if there's anything that Warren wants to do.
Okay, so yeah, the 200 silver would be enough to do those with a little bit left over.
What are you thinking, Tormy?
I'm not adding anything else. I'm realizing that I put all of the extra storage things down in the lab, except for the food chest, which I left in the kitchen. The kitchen has a shit ton of bullet meat. And we have an absolute shit ton of raw mithril in a laboratory.
You also that bullet meat.
Yep.
Have you checked on that in a while?
I've not checked on that since we left.
Did you guys smoke all of it, or did you keep some of it raw?
We smoked most of it, salt and cured the rest, I believe.
Okay.
Because everything
Yes.
else we had been eating until we had gotten back to civilization.
Okay, because it's been
Right.
a couple
minute.
months.
Yeah.
I think it's been 3 months in game time since you guys collected that meat. So
Yeah.
Okay, so I went ahead and removed the 200 silver pieces from my inventory, and we'll silver his 2 main daggers and the string.
okay, as well as the dagger on the
On your prototype.
the prototype.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And I think then that is a good spot to call it a night. So very good role play session tonight, guys. I know we were a little short-handed and it was only the 3 of you guys, but hey, you guys were able to extend a little bit longer into the role play for what you guys were wanting to do. So I hope you guys enjoyed that.
Very much so. In regards to the prototype, do you want me to make up something on D&D and have Tormy balance it?
You could, if you want to make something up on D&D Beyond, you can. It's just going to essentially be a dagger variant. The stats and everything on the dagger, on the attack damage and everything, are going to be based off of the dagger. But it will have obviously the caveat of the mechanism for the vial, which those vials will be a single use vial. Each
Mhm.
vial is a single target, single use. So I don't think there needs to be anything else added to it to balance it, because it's mostly just a cool ass dagger with the ability to add, a poison or something to it through that contraption. So
Okay. Retractable blade. I'm gonna call this prototype because
which
now that I remember that we actually have mithril and shit down in the lab, the the more
Advanced
solid version, yeah, the more advanced version is going to be made out of mithril, so it's light as fuck.
So you can go ahead and just call that the shock blade prototype, since that is technically what that style of hidden blade contraption is. It's a little bit different than the shock than a traditional shock blade, but for all intents and purposes, it's a shock blade. So
Right.
All right. Well, my viewers, I hope you enjoyed this roleplay heavy session tonight. I know my players enjoyed it. Um, the experienced group that we have playing this game, uh, all really love the ability to role play the characters. And I personally feel like we do find a really good balance between role play and combat within this game and within the other games. Um, so if you're more of a role play player, or if you're more of a combat player, we like to have a fairly good mix here. So I would encourage you guys to join the server, get involved in the games, help us tell the story. Because if you're like me and you're a lore person, you're loving the lore that's being built within these games. So I really encourage you guys to join us. We look forward to playing with you guys on the server and telling these stories together. So, from all of my players and from myself, I am Jeb. This is the Haven D&D Discord server. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening, and may the dice be with you.
Bye.
Night, everyone.